Welcome to this week's edition of Black Authors Matter TV, where we interview the latest movers and shakers in the African American literary community. You'll meet some old friends, discover new ones, and stay abreast of the latest book developments around the country and even the world. So sit back and relax for the next 2 hours with Black Authors Matter TV co-hosts Gwen Richardson and Dr. Rhonda Lawson.
Good evening. Welcome to Black Authors Matter TV, and it is our last show of 2023. This year has gone by so fast, and it's hard to believe we're almost in 2024. It's quick. It's very quick. Anyway, I'm Gwen Richardson, your host for tonight, along with my co-host,
Dr. Rhonda Lawson. Good evening, everyone.
And we've got an exciting show tonight. We have something a little different because we are going to be revealing, Rhonda and I are going to tell you our favorite books for 2023, the books that we've actually read and the ones that we consider to be our favorites. And in addition to being authors, we're also avid readers. So we're exposed to a gazillion books on this show. So, and some of them we read because of the interviews that we do with the authors who are on the show. But before we get into the show, we're going to show our informational video for new viewers so you know what Black Authors Matter TV is all about and how we got started in our history.
Since the Black Authors Matter TV live stream show and podcast launched in July 2020, it's been regarded as the platform of record for African American literature. Co-hosted by literary influencers Gwen Richardson and Dr. Rhonda Lawson, the show averages 3,000 viewers and listeners every week. Every Tuesday, we interview a variety of movers and shakers in the literary world, including celebrities and media commentators, NAACP Image Award nominees and winners, historians, agents and marketing professionals, publishers, bookstore owners from coast to coast, book club facilitators, online book groups and book chats, book event coordinators, literary nonprofit organizations and projects, and, in some cases, Black Authors Matter TV has conducted one of the last interviews prior to a literary influencer's transition. In fact, since the show's inception 3 years ago, Black Authors Matter TV has interviewed more than 500 guests, and the list continues to grow. Engaging, relatable, timely, and most of all, committed to excellence. Black Authors Matter TV continues to bring viewers the latest book industry news and new releases, and will continue to do so for years to come.
Well, that we've shown that video for several weeks because we want people to know about the show, and so they'll know that we didn't just start like last week. We've been online with this show for 3.5 years, and that's hard to believe.
We're not new to this.
That's right.
To this.
That's right. And who else has interviewed over 500 people? Almost 600 people. We're approaching 600 people, different people. Not 600 interviews, 600 different individuals. That's a lot of different people's stories.
Absolutely.
And just experiences. So we are excited about what we have to hold for the future. Is bigger and better things coming along, and we're excited. So tonight we are going to reveal our 5 favorite books of 2023 that we've read ourselves. And feel free to comment about the titles as we reveal them. And what we're going to do them one at a time. And for the people who said they love the video, Gwen Higgs, thank you so much. Our video production manager, George Powell, does all our video productions, and he does a great job. All of our promotional videos and all the things that you see that we do about the event that we have, and just that when we do the award show, that promo, he produces all those videos. And the intro and the outro for the show, he produced those too. So we are going to get started. We're going to be talking about our 5 favorite books for 2023. And Rhonda and I don't necessarily read the same kinds of books. I like reading, read almost exclusively fiction. Occasionally, I will read a bio, memoir, but I like a good novel. I like historical fiction. I like mainstream fiction. I like mysteries, thrillers. Those are my favorite.
We do read a lot of the same types of books, but I love a good memoir.
Okay, did I read any memoirs this year? I don't think I did. I heard about some good ones, but I just had so many. My to be read shelf with fiction was so long, deep and wide, and I still have a lot there. I keep getting more, so I never really get a chance to get to anything else. But I have read some good memoirs, but I didn't read any this year. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna alternate, and Rhonda's gonna reveal her first title that she is saying that's her favorite. Now I have actual books. Do you have actual books, or are you gonna do
No,
the screen?
well, I did a lot of audiobooks this year because my schedule was so busy.
Right.
But I did read one physical book, and that's going to be my first book. Unfortunately, I'm in the process of moving, so I have no idea where that book is.
Oh,
But
okay. Well,
I
but you
do,
can show it on the. You can show the cover.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'm going to at least show you the cover of the book.
Okay. And I
Yes.
have my physical book, so I'm going to show you the books, and then we're going to tell you why we like them. You know why?
Yes.
Just a little bit about them and why we like them. So you ready, Rhonda, to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So the first book I read, let me make sure I can see myself here. Okay, so the first book I want to show you is called The Stranger He Knew by Debbie Stokes. And
Okay.
this was a debut novel for this author. This is probably one of the few this is the only independent author who's on my list. Not that I don't like independent authors, but this story resonated with me because it wasn't exactly a love story, it was more like an adventure story. The main character in this story was somebody who lost his job, and he actually went through being homeless for 2 years until he was able to come out in the end and find a job, and something wonderful happens to him. But I'll just leave it at that. But I
Okay.
just thought that it was such a good story for it. I mean, was it perfectly written? Yeah, there probably could have been some places that she could have fixed, and we talked about that already. She was actually somebody I had featured on the Horizons Author Lounge. But just the way she told this story, um, she did a really good job with it. And her main character was a man and was a white man. So somebody totally different than who she actually is. And I thought she did a great job with it. And the way she was able to navigate telling that story, I felt like she probably interviewed some homeless people and to find out why they were down on their luck. So I liked what she did with the story. And I wish her a lot of success in the future in writing even more. So this was one of the reasons why I put this particular book on my list.
Okay. Now tell us the title again and the author's name.
It's called The Stranger He Knew. Oops.
Okay. And
Yeah, The
it's
Stranger He Knew by Debbie Stokes.
Debbie Stokes. Okay. I hadn't heard about that one. So
Yes,
that one I need.
it's a new book. I believe she just released it this year.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna check that one out. I had to put that on my list. I'm always up for a good book.
Yes.
Always. And because I'm always reading. So I'm just making a note here so that I can remember the book. Okay. My first favorite book is The Landlord by Brandon Massey. So let me see if I can
Mm.
let me put it back some maybe. So you can see the whole thing. I got my microphone there. But
Oh,
yeah.
okay, bring it back this
Can you
way.
see it? Can you see it?
There we go. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, The Landlord by Brandon Massey. Now, Brandon Massey, he's been on the show a couple of times. He's written multiple books. He does mysteries. he does mystery thriller. Sometimes he does supernatural. This book wasn't supernatural. It was just it was just naturally just on the edge. He can tell a story. I probably read 10 of Brandon's books. He's a really good writer. So in this story, this couple get what they think is a good deal on a house to rent. And the husband is trying to uh, go the self-employed route. And so his income is not that steady. And she wants to be in a certain neighborhood. So this particular house, the rental price is exceptional for the neighborhood that she so desperately wants. And so they borrow some money from her father because I think they have to do first and last. They borrow that from the father. So the landlord in this book is just plain crazy, and he drives them crazy. And I liked it because it was just one episode of just craziness, all the things that he put them through after the other, and then it ended well. So this was a good book. I haven't read a bad book by Brandon, and I wouldn't say that if it wasn't true. But this one is, it's not my favorite of his, but it's in the top 3 or 4. This was just really, it was a great story. So that's my first one. So what is your next one, Rhonda?
All right, now, believe it or not,
Okay.
we mentioned earlier that I like to read memoirs. And I had heard about this one particular person's memoir, and I was a little intrigued. I wanted to see what he had to say. So this next book is called The Book of Jose by Fat Joe. And for
Okay.
those
Now
of
who's
you
Fat Joe?
he's a rapper.
Oh, okay. So I'm not
Yeah.
keyed
Well, I don't do
into the
a
rap.
lot of rap like I used to, but
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I'm always intrigued by a good story. In fact, after reading this one, I read Lil Boosie's memoir. I was very surprised about that because I didn't think I'd be interested in his story. But I said, let me see what he has to say. But this
Okay.
book, this book was really good because he I didn't realize how much he had gone through growing up. And I'm not just talking about being poor, but just the whole family dynamic um that he had growing up, and the relationships that he had with his brother, and then how he moved from kind of being the rough kid, the kid who was always fighting, the kid who would take your life if he had to moving into the rap game, and then how he helped other people. Once he was where he was comfortable, how he helped other people, and then when he went to prison, and then when he got back out of prison, how he had to rebuild his life and rebuild his finances and so forth. He even talked about how he met his wife and how his wife held him to a certain standard, and he was in love with her. So even though he had never loved anybody else like that, he decided he needed to live to this standard that his wife required for him. And so I really enjoyed the story, actually more than I thought I would, but he had a very intriguing story. So I was pleasantly surprised by this book.
Oh, okay. Well, Fat Joe. The Book of Jose, right?
Yes, the Book of
That was the
Jose.
title. Okay. Well, maybe I'll look him up. I like I said, I'm not clued into the whole rap culture, but I know, and the names are all street names. I'll just say it like that.
Right.
They're not named their own names. They all have nicknames, street names that they call themselves,
I
or
wouldn't
rap
know his
names,
real name
whatever
if he
they call
walked up to me and told me.
them. So, okay, that's number 2 for you. Now, number 2 for me is Hold You Down by Tracy Brown. And that rhymes, but
It does.
um Tracy Brown, we lost her this year. And she was an exceptional writer. Um, she wrote mostly urban fiction. And I actually read 2 of her books. our book club read two of them, and one came out last year and one came out this year. Hold You Down, and then Single Black Female was the other book that we read, and the club loved them both. She can tell the story of a relationship dynamic. That was her real gift, to develop a relationship in a book. And it was two sisters in this book, and they grew up together, and they had opposite personalities. One was kind of flashy, and the other one was more traditional, more just more conservative in terms of just her lifestyle and what she wanted to do with her life. And they both had sons, but this one was really good. It was sad. It had some sad parts in it, and it just took you down every emotion. It tugged at every emotion. You laughed. It had some laugh out loud stuff. It had some tear jerking parts, and she could tell a story, and she is going to be missed. Her storytelling ability is going to be missed in the literary world, because she was just really a great writer.
Absolutely.
So you can't go wrong with any of Tracy's books. One of her white lines is like in my top 20 books of all time by her. It's a really good story. But I've read several of her books, but her last two, Hold You Down and Single Black Female, are really good if you just want. And I'm not an urban fiction reader, but I read Tracy Brown. There's a couple of people. I read Quan, because it still has to have a story. I don't just want a bunch of curse words and graphic sex.
Oh, I
Some
agree
of
with
them are
that.
just, that's really what they do. They focus on, but Quan and Tracy Brown tell really good stories. So that's my second one.
Yeah, I'm no prude. I don't mind a sex scene, but I just feel like there should be a storyline and that the sex scene should make sense. When it starts to get gratuitous, I get a little irritated.
Yeah, that's what
So,
I mean. I don't have a problem with sex, but when it's just like over the top graphic and it really doesn't add anything to the
right.
story, it's just them trying to, tell you which positions and all that, which equipment, some toys, whatever. You know, I don't need that in the story, but
Right, right.
and I rather have some character development. That's really what I like. So
I agree. I agree.
so
And
what's your
well,
third book?
the fun thing, I'm glad you said character development, is I don't always have to love the characters. I just want the
Right, me
characters to
either.
make me feel something.
Yeah, because
So,
sometimes the bad guy, the antagonist, if you can write a good antagonist character, you can love to hate the person. I mean,
absolutely.
so no, it's about the character development. It can be, they don't have to be the protagonist or the good person, in the story at all. They can be,
Absolutely.
people are complicated. They're not all good or all bad, for the most part. There are some people
Right.
who are
And
all
I
bad guys.
love a complicated character. You
Yeah,
don't know
me
whether to love
too.
them or hate them. And
Right.
so that brings me to my third
Okay.
book, Black
Okay.
Girls Must Be Magic.
Okay. By
And
Jane Allen.
actually, yeah, by Jane Allen. And actually, I read all three of the books in this series. I believe it started with Black Girls Must Die Exhausted, and then Black Girls Must Be Magic, and then Black Girls Must Have It All, I believe was the title of the last one.
Okay.
And I enjoyed the series because it kind of holds a mirror up to what a lot of professional Black women go through. And like when we were talking about characters and character development, I didn't always agree with the main character. I thought that sometimes that she was a little over the top with the way that she responded to certain situations. And I felt that often that she was closed off when people were honestly trying to reach out a hand to help her. But I believe that that's how we are in real life. Sometimes we overreact to some things. Sometimes we are so ready for someone to apply the angry Black woman syndrome stereotype to us that we start to we expect it so much that we start to react before it's even proven that that's what the person was doing. Sometimes it's not that the person's racist. Sometimes they may just not know, or sometimes they just could be a butthole, and they're a butthole to everybody, not just Black women.
That's true. That's
So
true.
sometimes
Some
we have to
people
analyze
are
the
buttholes, like
situation.
you say, with everybody.
Right. So
So,
sometimes we have to analyze the situation before we automatically think that somebody's treating us a certain way because we're a Black woman. And I think that those were lessons that the character in these three books, I believe that's what she went through. And so like I said, I enjoyed the series and made me want to keep reading. But at the same time, it really made me sit down and really think about how I respond to things as a Black woman. And do I sometimes automatically pivot to the racial side or the stereotypical side because I'm automatically thinking that's how they're treating me, or am I actually analyzing the situation to see if this is really the way that they're treating me versus just who they are? Because I think when you understand the situation better, it helps you to move a little bit more strategically. So that was one of the reasons why I enjoyed this series. So I showed the one book, but it was kind of representative of the series.
okay, and she was on the show as well.
Absolutely.
So, I haven't read that series yet, but I'll try one. Well, when it's a series, I always like to start with the first book.
Yeah, I started with the first book and then I went through them, and I actually think I held up the wrong book because I didn't want to show Black Girls Must Be Magic first. I wanted to show Black Girls Must Die Exhausted. I
Okay,
believe
that's the
this was the
first one.
first. Yeah, I believe this was the first one, and then Magic came next, and then Have It All came after that.
Okay.
But they all start with Black Girls Must.
Okay. Now, I think that's great.
Oh, and by the way, the covers are beautiful.
They are beautiful. They are
Yes,
very
I
beautiful.
really love the covers.
They are very colorful. This is she does the pinks and purples and blues.
Yes.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my next book, my third book is Anywhere You Run by Rhonda Morris. And Rhonda Morris, Wanda has been on the show. And this one is historical fiction. And I read two of her books. I read this one and I read All Her Little Secrets, which is not historical, it's the contemporary. And I went back and forth. In fact, when we were making our list, I had them both on there. And I said, I'm not going to do but one by an individual author. So I had to decide. This one is historical fiction. It's two sisters. And it's set in the 60s. And there's a dynamic where it's set in the civil rights and when a lot of the killings and murders were going on, and she gets caught up in that. She has to leave town. And she's like running from the law for most of the book. And she has a boyfriend who's, I guess I can tell this part because it's close to the beginning of the book. Her boyfriend is white. And so that creates a whole nother dynamic. They're running together, and in the 60s, you stand out. It's not like you can be inconspicuous. You have to they had to try to make themselves inconspicuous. It was really, really well written. And her other book was too. She's a very good writer. So I enjoyed this one, Anywhere You Run by Wanda Morris. And I think this book or her other book made some lists. I saw this one or the other one on some best books of the year, some other people's books. So congratulations to her. Because I don't think she's written that many books. She doesn't have a long list of books that she's written. Let me see. Let me look in the front and see if her other book titles are in here. She only has one other book title in here, so I don't know. She's a good writer. Wanda Morris.
Okay. I'm gonna have to check that one out. I don't think I've heard of that one. Was she on the show?
She was on the show.
Oh, okay. You have to find that one then. Yeah.
Yeah, they're both good. You can't go wrong with either one.
Okay. Well, we're on number 4 now,
Yeah,
right?
we're on number 4 now.
Okay. So my fourth book was The Johnson Sisters. by Tressa Henderson.
Okay.
And I enjoyed this one. Normally, I always say, I'm tired of the ensemble books where, where there are four
Four
best friends
friends.
or four characters. Well, this was about sisters. And I actually enjoyed the story because they all had such distinct personalities. And some of the sisters just made me laugh every time they said something, but they were all going through something. So Tressa could have easily broken up this story to be 5 different stories because each of the sisters had their own story. And but at the same time, they had something that brought them together. So there were a lot of grudges in the story, and the way the grudges came out, it wasn't something that, where you were reading, you're like, oh, come on, where did that come from? They came out so gradually that when it really peaked, when the plot really peaked, you're like, oh wow. And you just wanted, for me, I was listening to it, so I just wanted to keep listening. But even if this were a physical book, I would have wanted to keep reading. Just because, like I said, all of the secrets that they had that they didn't want their sisters to know, and the one thing that they just didn't talk about that really kind of, in a way, held them together, and if they had talked about it, it would have torn them apart, and it did come out, and it did almost tear them apart. It was just a beautiful dynamic between the sisters. So this was a story that will make you laugh in a lot of places, but then it also makes you think about your own family dynamic. So I really enjoyed this book.
Okay, now Tressa is a Henderson.
Yes, Tressa Henderson.
Does she have new other books?
I did not look. Maybe she did. Let me check.
I hadn't heard of her.
I don't even remember how I found this book. I think I might have just been flipping through my Audible and looking for books.
Okay.
And I came across this one, but oh yeah, she does have other books. She has The Johnson Sisters, A Brother's Divide, My Man's Best Friend, Big Girls, Big Girls Drama 1 and 2.
Okay.
Yeah, so she has quite a few books. Null and Void, but The Johnson Sisters is actually an older book. It was released in 2015.
Okay.
So
Well,
that's why I
so
said I
the
just
book
happened to
doesn't
run
have to be
across.
new
It
because
doesn't.
sometimes you have books. I have so many to be read books. Sometimes I don't get to them for 2 or 3 years, and then I'll say, okay.
I have to be read books I bought when I first wrote Cheating in the Next Room, and that was 20 years ago.
Yeah, I
I'm
had some
pretty
books.
good to get to
So
it.
if you buy books, you don't necessarily get to all of them, and then sometimes it's something might encourage you, prompt you to read one of them, and you go back because I have some that I keep looking at. I said I've got to read this book, and I haven't read them yet. So, but because I keep getting new ones, but anyway, it's all good. If I bought the book, that means at least I supported the author, even if I didn't get to read it yet. So next, number 4 for me is All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby.
Nice cover.
Nice cover. And this author, he's written some other books, but this is I ran across this. You know, you run across books, and I hope to get him on the show at some point. He does this is a mystery thriller type book, and it's a lot of twists and turns. There's a one main character that's a sheriff, and there's some killings going on in this small town. And the setting is Virginia, like out in the western part of the Virginia, where so he mentions some places in Virginia that I know because I'm from Virginia. But this was a really, really good book. I read this one on the cruise.
Okay, yeah. You were
I was
reading
reading books.
somebody on that cruise.
Yeah, I read 3 books while I was on the cruise. This one, All Her Little Secrets, I read the other Wanda Morris book. I read that on the cruise as well. So it's really good writing. There's some like, oh my God moments, OMG. I can't believe that happened. He's really good at writing a thriller. So
Yes.
I enjoyed that immensely.
So
Okay, Curtis Steverson said he's currently reading Razor Blade Tears, and it's by the
oh,
same author.
okay.
He has another book called Razor Blade Tears that was recommended by he kind of blew up because Barack Obama named his book Razor Blade Tears as one of his favorite books. You know, anytime somebody like him, somebody
Right.
famous says your book they really liked it. That's what happened with Walter Mosley. Bill Clinton, when he was president, said he enjoyed one of Walter Mosley's early books, like one of the early books, because
I
Bill
love
Clinton
Walter
was in
Mosley.
office 30 years ago. And that's what put him on the map.
Yes.
So book our fifth book, we both picked one book that was the same out of our list of 5.
Love it when it happens.
And this is on a lot of people's list. The House of Eve by Stephen Johnson. This was an amazing book.
It was touching. Oh my goodness.
It was an amazing book. And you know, this book cover is awesome.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. But it was picked by Reese Witherspoon's book club. And it came out. I went back and looked because I said, it feels like this book has been out for 2 years. But it came out in January of this year. But it has made the rounds because it's such an exceptional story.
Yeah.
So
And
well
also,
written.
if you look on here, it was Reese's book club, but it's also New York Times bestseller.
Okay, see, when I bought this book, it wasn't on the bestseller list yet.
Right.
So see, they
Apparently it's
added
on
that
here.
to the
Yeah.
graphic. I got it early when it first came out, so it hadn't made the list. So yeah, New York Times bestseller. So The House of Eve, that's our book number 5, and we both picked that one as one of our top 5 for 2023.
Yes.
So you all get to see some of the books that we've written. And if you're looking for a good book, these we wouldn't be saying that they were our favorites if they weren't exceptional. And people who are avid readers are always looking for a good book to read.
Absolutely.
So
What are you reading right now?
what am I reading right now? What am I reading right now? Oh, I'm finishing up a John Grisham book on my
Okay.
other book club, the Boys of Biloxi. And I like John Grisham. I like some of his books more than others, but I was reading that because of the book club pick. And it's not, you know, far be it from me to criticize somebody who's, probably sold 100 million books. But this book, to me, his character development is not as solid as his other books.
Gotcha.
And it reads like, it's almost written like too much of a third person, like almost like a news reporter is writing the story instead of being told from the point of view of the characters. It's more,
I hear you.
kind of detached. And it's a lot of pages. It was 450. I'm
Oh my
still reading.
goodness. I'm
I'm
surprised you
almost,
chose that
yeah.
one.
He could have cut out 100 of those pages. I'm just,
Wow.
but he can write, and he's John Grisham. So that's what I'm reading now. And I
Okay.
have, some other books that I'm planning to read. Of course, I'm always am.
Right.
But I did want to share before our 7:30 guest wasn't able to come on. He had a family emergency, and we'll try to get him back on a future show. So I did want to share that I received this in the mail. Rashonda Tate Billingsley has a new book coming out in January called The Queen of Sugar Hill. And because it's kind of green, it's like a hologram. But she sent me the box. This is the novel about Hattie McDaniel, the actress. And
Very
so this
nice.
book comes out in the end of January. And in the box, there's all kinds of good stuff. Let's see. There was a personal card. That is a note to me, and she wrote me a nice note about the book coming out January 30th. She will be on the show. We've already booked her for early February to talk about the book. We've already booked her for that.
Wonderful.
There's some popcorn in it. Um, there's a fan. Let's see what's on the fan. But does it do anything? No, it's just a regular fan. I can't even open it. But anyway, there's that. There's
You might
some
not be
little,
opening it right.
I must not be, but I can't figure it out how to do it. So anyway, uh, there's some perfume, I guess. Yeah, I guess air perfume. There is a keychain that says Hollywood Rector keychain. There's some little there's a card information about her. Oh, this is about a mammogram. They I don't know if that's related to her. I don't know if she, but there's something about scheduling a mammogram in there. Um, something with the Sisters Network. So there's more about mammogram. So I guess that's something that Rhonda is focusing on. There's chocolates in here. And there is an advanced reading copy of the book, Hide with a Ribbon.
Oh, that's nice.
Mm-hmm. So I am planning to, of course, there's another book for me to read, but I appreciated getting that because I did not know I was going to get it. And then in the inside of the box, I don't know if I can show this. Yeah, the inside of the box, it says, I'd rather play a maid for $700 than be a maid for $7. And that's a quote from Hattie McDaniel. So she said when people criticize her for playing the role of a maid, well, that was how she dealt with that. So that's my show and tell. Other than I do want to mention, and I know you're going to be talking about before our next guest, she's going to come on a little early. Our guest in the 8 o'clock segment is going to come on a little early. But I did want to just remind people about my new book that came out recently. And I did a reboot of the cover of the first installment. So this is the Genesis series. The first book is called The Genesis Files. And I did a reboot of the cover. So it could be more complimentary of the sequel, which is Exodus from Treachery. And I'm getting really good reviews. And one thing that's happening, which is somewhat of a surprise, or maybe it shouldn't be. I guess, what prompted me to think about it differently and really appreciate it was when Eric LaSalle was on the show and he said he had a third book that he released. But before that, they re-released two of his previous books that were older, and it made those books sell. Well, the Genesis Files is selling again. It was dormant because it's been out for a while. But because of Exodus from Treachery, the Genesis Files, the sales, because you can read Exodus from Treachery as a standalone, but if you really want to know the backstory, you need to read the Genesis Files. So, the sales for both are going very well. I've already booked some book club discussion meetings with the new book. So for next year, so I'm excited about that. You put your mic on mute.
I didn't get a chance to tell you what book that I was reading, but I'm reading Viola Davis's book, Finding Me, which is really, really good. It starts
Okay.
a little heart-wrenching, but so
I
far
heard
it's a
it
really
was.
captivating story. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that she really had a very
A very rough
traumatic
Yeah.
beginning. I did hear that. Now that's a memoir I might read.
Yeah. And it's a
Now, have you
little
read
lengthy,
Cicely
but it's really
Tyson?
good. I'm sorry?
Did you read Cicely Tyson's book?
I did not read her book yet.
Okay,
But
I
she
heard good
actually
things
mentioned
about it.
Cicely Tyson in the book. She said that, when she watched the biography of Miss Jane Pittman, and when she watched her go from a teen, from a child all the way to a 100-year-old woman, she knew that's when she wanted to be an actress.
Yeah, you have to be able to act to do that. And Cicely Tyson did that. I actually had that on my DVR to rewatch because I saw it when it was out when it first came out, but I haven't seen it in many years. So I have it on my DVR to watch. Now you are going to be telling us about okay, Tony Benita said they are both in my to be read. Gwen, I think she's talking about my books. So thank you, Tony. So she cried. She said she cried all the way through Viola's book.
Yeah.
Is it one of
I mean,
those?
it'll take you there.
Okay. And somebody, Marla Morris said she read Sidney Poitier's book. So she said she needs to read that. And Stephanie Burnham said Finding Me was one of the best memoirs she read last year. So, okay, so y'all are making me get it. Finding Me.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And you're going to tell us, before our guest comes on, you're going to tell us about your...
I'm just excited to tell you all about the Black History Month Literary Weekend. It is coming back. It's going to be February 22nd through the 24th. This year, we are featuring 10 authors, and we are also going to have special guests, Marita Golden, who's been on the show, and Tiffany Warren. And you all may, if you have seen the new Christmas movie that's on BET Plus called Favorite Son Christmas, then you'll be familiar with Tiffany Warren, because that book, she's the executive producer of that movie, and the movie is based on her book. So she has actually been killing it. I believe this is her second or third movie that she has, or second or third book that she's turned into a movie. So we're going to be having her as a special guest as well. And then I also have a little promo to show you all what we're going to be doing.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes.
Now, do we have sound?
I don't know. Can you hear it?
No.
I don't know how to make you hear it. I don't know how to make you hear it.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I mean, it's up.
You have the control. Can you hear it?
I hear it. Can ask the people if they can hear it.
The audience, can you all hear the video that Rhonda is playing? Can you hear sound? If you all can let us know, because I can't hear it, but it might just be on my end. It shouldn't be though. Hear sound?
I don't know what to.
No, well, Tony says no. Tony Benita says no. She can't hear.
Well, I don't know how to do it.
And it's 90 seconds. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. What we'll do is we'll send it to me, and I'll get Robert to play it on the next show.
When is the next show?
January 2nd.
Okay, I'm about to say we're not meeting next week.
No. No. And for the audience, we are next week, because of the holidays, we're taking off. So next Tuesday, there won't be a show. Our next show will be January 2nd, which is the day after New Year's, which is a Tuesday, because New Year's Day is on a Monday. So just send it to me. Then I'll get Robert, our media manager, to sync it up.
Because I don't know why you can't. Yeah, I don't know why you weren't able to hear it, because I heard it on this side and all the volume was turned up. So I'm not sure what happened, but it's all good. Anyway, the Black History Month Literary Weekend is going to be February 22nd through the 24th here in Maryland. On the 22nd, we'll be doing Coffee with an Author at PJ's Coffee House. On February 23rd, we're going to be doing visits to area high schools. And then we're going to do a book chat and signed at Barnes & Noble in the Bowie Town Center. And then on the 24th will be the Ivory and Cream Affair, where we'll have our special guests, like I said, the 10 authors, and then we'll also have our special guests, Tiffany Warren, as well as Marita Golden, who are both really huge. They're huge all over the place, but they're really huge over here in the DMV as well. So we're looking forward to an amazing time. We're going to be releasing the 8th and ninth grade essay contest. So if you have an 8th grader or a ninth grader, you want them to be a part of this essay contest because each winner will receive $300 and they'll be able to read their essay during the event. And if you have a child who is not in the DMV area, they can still participate. We will Zoom them in so that they can read their essay for the audience. So we have a lot going on. We're even going to have a fashion show at the brunch. We're bringing in a fashion designer from New York, and he is going to unveil one of his newest collections during the event. So
Oh, you
it's
have a
going to
lot
be,
going on.
yes, it's going to be amazing. So if you're in the DMV area or you're close to the DMV area, come on out because you're really going to enjoy it. And I will put the link in the description so you can get more information about the brunch.
And Tiffany's been on the show. It's been a while.
Yes, yes,
It's
it's
been
been
a
a
while. I
while.
think she was on like the first year doing that, the
Mhm.
first year of the show. We need to bring her back since so she can give us an update on all of her new activities. So,
Oh, okay.
um,
Oh, so Stephanie said you have to make sure share sound is on. I didn't know that. I don't even know where share sound is.
me either. So that's why I said let's just let Robert do it because he knows all the tech side of that. Not, I don't know. And it doesn't show up on share screen. There's not a share sound button.
No, no.
Uh,
So we'll have Robert do it because I don't know. I don't use Zoom as much as I used to. I use StreamYard now.
yeah, a lot of people are using StreamYard. I was on an interview on StreamYard recently,
Oh, okay.
and I like some of the features because they have that countdown,
Mm-hmm.
and then they tell you they have it where it shows you that the person knows you're there. I don't know if it does that on Zoom. Like the host knows you're there. It tells you that. I like that.
Right.
So the only other thing I have before we bring on our guest, we'll bring her on a little bit early, our 8 o'clock guest, and I need to get a drink of water.
Yeah, I need some water too.
We've been posting photos from this year's National Black Book Festival for the last 6 or 7 weeks. We had about 500 photos and another 50 video reels, clips, and we've been posting. We're close to the end. We haven't finished. We're close to the end. We will have everybody's photos that we took, the authors, the participating authors, by the end of the year. So between now and the end of the year, everybody's photos will be posted. And I believe everybody who was there that was at their table at the time the photographer went around and he went around the whole place and he got a lot of good footage, excellent work that he did. He did close-ups of the authors, their tables. He did a lot of reels, interactions with the people who were shopping there, and good video clips we can use for our promos for next year. Next year's dates are October 17th through the 20, the 20, 17th through the 19th. I don't want to be adding dates on. 17th through the 19th. We already have confirmed Rhonda Tate Billingsley. Is she going by Tate or Tate now? I don't know. But anyway, you all know Rhonda. She's going to be there as well as Quan. We've already confirmed Quan. We're working on some other featured authors for next year. And if you plan to register, registration opens January 1st. We've gotten a ton of interest in signing up for next year. I mean, people are chomping at the bit to sign up. And I guess it's because we sold out so early last year. And we had 100 people after we were sold out that wanted to give vendor space.
Wonderful.
That's how much people wanted to come. So January 1st is when it opens. You can register with a $50 deposit. The early bird rate is between January 1st and March 31st. That's the most favorable rate and terms. And you don't have to pay the balance until the end of July. And that's when the rate is the lowest. And we normally get half of our registrations during that early bird. So we're half sold by the time end of March rolls around. So anyway, we are delighted to have our next guest. Her name is Gloria Shell Mitchell. And She's an author. I believe she does Christian fiction, but she will correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it's Christian fiction. But her new book is called I Trust Him. And when I looked at the cover of the book, I didn't, and I guess the reader may or may not know, is she saying she trusts the man she's hugged up with, or is it about the higher him? So, Gloria, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi. Thank you for the privilege of being able to be on the show tonight.
And thank you for signing on a little bit early, because we had our previous guest wasn't able to come because they had a family emergency. So we're going to try to get him back. But you are a seminary graduate, so congratulations on that.
Well, thank you.
And are you actually in ministry? Are you pastoring? Are you counseling? What are you evangelizing? What are you doing with your seminary credentials?
Well, a little bit of all of the above that you just said. However, my major ministry right now is ministering to women who are in a transitional housing facility that we opened in 2018, right after I returned from a trip to Kenya, ministering to young people there. So I do the radio evangelism, I write, I teach and I preach and just try to love on people as much as possible.
That sounds beautiful. How did you get interested in doing that type of ministry?
Well, actually, ministry is a calling for me. God called me to the ministry, and He told me, I am sending you to those who are sick, hurting, abused, neglected, rejected, and confused. And I've actually been able to do all of that, meaning ministering to those with a mental illness, the confused, those who are sick, being a chaplain, a hospital chaplain, just going into the mission field and radio ministry, things like that. So He's allowed me to be able to reach the populations that He told me to go to. But basically, it's hurting people because I was called to go to them.
Beautiful.
That is wonderful. Something that came to my mind, and it might be somewhat controversial, but there's still a remnant in the body of Christ that doesn't believe women should be preaching. And I'm a PK. So, and my father used to be, he's passed, but he used to believe that, but he's changed his thinking on it in future years, just by watching women who received the call and how strong they were, and my position is God can call anybody, because God is God and He can call anybody. And if He can make a donkey talk, I won't use the other word, but if He can make a rock cry out, then He can call whoever is willing and available.
I grew up thinking that as well at first, but then I started to take a closer look at many of the women in the Bible, and there were so many instances where women were either put into the position where they had to take charge, where they had to lead, or they were called to lead. I mean, if you look at Deborah, look at Moses' wife. Oh my goodness, Zipporah, Moses' wife. If because Moses did not listen, and God was going to kill him, it was his wife who basically saved his life.
Yeah.
And so when you look at so many women who were in a position to lead, or had to step up because the one who was supposed to lead didn't step up, I started looking at it differently, that women can lead and that women can minister.
Yeah. And when my dad used to say that, and I was a little girl, it just didn't make sense. It never made sense to me. I don't. They had a ministers organization, that used to meet at our church, but it was a citywide ministers organization. And there was a woman who said, what she was called. But it was the only female there. And the men wouldn't let her speak. They would only let her play the piano. That was it. And I told my dad about that. I said that, and I was a kid. I would speak up even as a kid.
And did you grow up kind of believing that at first, and then what was your transition? Because I know we're talking about our experience.
Yes.
But what was your transition? If you did grow up believing that at first, how were you able to transition to say, "Hey, I'm called to ministry as well"?
Yeah, well, actually, I'm one of those. I'm thinking, well, the church is full of women and children, so give the man something to do, and so it's okay if he's a pastor, right? So I believed that for quite a while, and then God let me know that He uses whom He chooses, and it's actually in the scriptures, right? So He let me know that I could do this, and I'm kind of like Moses. Moses was saying basically, Lord, I want to do this. Send somebody else. And then he says, just obey. All I want you to do. And actually the book is based on my learning how to trust him. Because every time I would say no, he would say, trust me, Gloria, trust me.
Okay.
So I've learned how to trust him. And I'm going to tell you that it made a major change in my life, because you just said, how did I feel growing up? Well, when the Lord told me to go to seminary, it was a series of dreams that I had. I always saw myself going to this particular seminary, and I'll tell you, it was a Southern Baptist seminary, and I was divorced at the time. And I knew that being divorced was there was a real stigma against divorce. And so I'm thinking they're not going to accept me. I'm not going to be admitted and all that. But I had a week-long series of dreams every night until when I was on retreat. And when I got home, I had the same dream. And I said, wait a minute, God must be telling me to do something. So the last time I had the dream, when I got back home from the retreat, I said, all right, Lord, I'll do it. I went and I enrolled in the seminary, and I said, okay, I'll wait to see what happens. Well, being divorced, they asked me to have my ex-husband write a letter, who was also a minister, write a letter so that they would admit me to this seminary. And I'm thinking that made absolutely no sense. I don't know what he said. I don't know if he wrote the letter, but I did ask him, and I was admitted, and I graduated from the seminary, the same seminary that I was applying to in my dream.
Wow. that was a vision already.
Yeah, that's,
And
here's something else.
First, I'll just tell you that I got
Okay.
a doctorate of ministry, and my focus is on divorce. Compassionately addressing divorce is the title, because there were so many people who were told to sit down from ministry, or you can't minister anymore because you've been divorced. And God is letting me know, and I pointed it out in years of research, that's not so. It is not so. God can use, as you said, whomever he chooses.
God is God. So whenever we start thinking that we know more than God knows, then that's when we get in trouble, because why is divorce worse than adultery or serial adultery, which is a big problem among some preachers? Let me just put it like that. Why? So it's better for him to be a serial adulterer than divorce. That doesn't make sense. Some things just don't make sense.
Yeah.
So
One of the things I state is that I'd rather divorce than commit a homicide or suicide.
or be killed. Sometimes you just the person that you're with, it becomes toxic, and it's just intolerable. And God doesn't want us to be abused and mistreated. That's not God's plan for us. And so, but I think with women, it takes a woman to minister to a woman about certain things.
Yeah.
Because it's really inappropriate for a man to be discussing certain things with a woman, especially if he's married or single. It doesn't matter. Some things are not appropriate for discussion. And it takes a woman to minister to a woman on certain topics. Just like a man can minister to a man on certain things. The women, we don't know what it's like to be a man. I mean, we know what it's like to take care of them. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. But we don't know what it's like inside. We don't know how they feel inside. So, and some of the things that they go through, they need to talk to a man about it. And there have been some situations where I know at our church, they don't let a man minister to a woman by themselves. Like they'll have a female in ministry in the room, just because some people might make things up or take things the wrong way, and rumors and gossip and all of that. You have to be very careful. You have to be very careful.
Absolutely, especially when it comes to, let's say somebody is really distraught and they go and they just fall into the other person's arms. Some things are just, as you say, inappropriate.
Yeah, they are.
I thank God that He does have women in ministry as well as men.
It takes, it takes all of us to, especially in the times we're in, we can't afford to leave anybody on the sidelines. We have to be out here fighting the devil that's extremely busy and has a lot of workers. They say that the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Well, the devil, he doesn't have any problem with labor. He has all kinds of people doing his devilish task. So tell us about the book. Trust it. Show us a copy. Show us the cover.
Okay, I Trust Him.
Okay.
This is the original version here.
Yeah.
But I saw the cover in a dream. And then my niece had a friend that she was leaning. I saw a picture of her leaning against her friend's chest. And I go, oh, that's what I saw in a dream. And then later on, I had the dream again. And I go, that's the cover to my book. And it took several artists before one completed what I saw. So this is the dream book cover. I Trust Him. And I'm grateful to the artist who drew that picture for me. So you want to know about the book?
Yeah, and the artist did a really great job because it's ambiguous enough for the reader to use their imagination about what it could mean.
And it's all of that plus some more.
Okay.
But what I have, this book is really written with wounded worshipers in mind. There are a lot of people have been hurt in the church and they've left the church, or they say, I'm never going back. Some have left God, and then others are great worshipers. They just won't set foot back in a church because they've been hurt. And so I had them in mind as I was writing because I'm one of those wounded worshipers. And so it took the Lord to work with me and heal me. And because I know He was able to heal me, I know He can heal others. And so I wrote about a number of issues that we face. And I'm really in awe with the way Alcoholics Anonymous works, where when somebody is hurting or somebody has relapsed or somebody is in recovery, there's somebody assigned to them to walk along with them. And if they fall, somebody's there to help pick them up. And I'm saying, why isn't the church doing this? Why can't we do this? Because we have people who come to church every Sunday, they're going to worship and they get the praise on, and they cry all the way to church and cry all the way back home. Same stuff. And I'm saying, no, we need to address those issues. And so I talk about a number of the issues about people backstabbing or about people insulting, about ministers that abuse, clergy abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, all those different things that we encounter. And we need to address it, including I am a breast cancer survivor, and a number of people don't realize the stress that many people are under when we're trying to wear a facade day after day, and especially as it relates to clergy spouses. So I focus on those things in this book.
Wow, you said a mouthful.
You did.
So
I'm surprised. Go ahead, Rhonda.
Well, no, I was just going to say, you're focusing on so many real issues, but this is a novel. So
Yes.
why did you choose to go the novel route instead of a nonfiction?
Well, I chose to go that route because I say that it's a disclaimer. I put a disclaimer that the names and places have been changed to protect the innocent and otherwise. And so it's really based on a true story. And I chose to go the fiction route just in case you decided that that's you. It may be you, but it could be me, you know? So I chose to go that route instead. All right.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
It does. And what you said about Alcoholics Anonymous is very true. The system that they've had, and they've been around for a long time. I don't know how decades, I don't know when they started, but they have that motto that they live by. And they have a sponsor, which the person that you were talking about, that if they fall, that the person is there to pick them up. And when alcoholics, well, I guess anybody with an addiction like that to a substance,
Yeah.
when they fall, it's a hard fall a lot of times. I don't, there's a movie, it's an old movie called The Days of Wine and Roses. I don't know if you've ever seen it. If you haven't, it's an excellent film. It stars Jack Lemmon and uh, uh, Jack Klugman, and I can't remember the woman's name, the actress. But anyway, um, he's an alcoholic, and then he meets the woman, his wife, who becomes his wife. They fall in love. He introduces her to alcohol, and then they both become alcoholics. And then their lives just spiral out like to the bottom. They just almost lose everything. And then she wasn't even a drinker, but she's the one who ends up not being able to quit. He goes to Alcoholics Anonymous. He falls, and Jack Klugman is the one. Jack Lemmon is the alcoholic. Jack Klugman is the one who's his sponsor, who has to bail him out. That's one of the best movies I've seen on that subject. It's an old movie, but it's just really fantastic. And so it's tearjerker type. But if you are a person of substance abuse, that's why it's difficult, because when you fall, the fall is hard. It's like you hit rock bottom all over again, and then you have to work your way back.
I'm very familiar with that. A number of we have a sober living transitional. I teach from this room, so that's my little flyer here. But
Okay.
It really makes me feel good when people really work the program. They say it works if you work it. You got to keep working at it. Those who want to maintain their sobriety, they must continue with that. And so, and also, I just want to point out to Dr. Rhonda asked the question, why did I go the fiction route? There's a quote by P.D. James, the novelist, who said, all fiction is largely autobiographical, and much autobiography is, of course, fiction. So that's why I chose to go that route, because you never know what's true and what's not.
And that is true. Because even when you write a novel, well, I know when I write, sometimes the thoughts and dialogue are my thoughts, but I put it in someone else's mouth. I give it to one of my characters. So
Yeah.
it's true. And truth is stranger than fiction. And that is true.
Yeah.
Because some things that happen, they're just so odd and so strange that it's hard to believe. It's unbelievable. So, how do you feel that the body of Christ is or is not addressing some of these issues of addiction? And it becomes a challenge because a lot of times people will stay away from church when they feel like they're flawed, extremely flawed. And then if they're not at the church or they're not connected with the church, it's hard to reach them.
I think
So
that's the reason why I like what you said about why doesn't the church have that, sponsors, for so to speak, like Alcoholics Anonymous does. And often when a young Christian or even an experienced Christian fails, or what they think is a fail, or they falter, they're so ashamed because they think everybody's judging them. And then when I'm never gonna forget when I was in my 20s and I was at choir rehearsal, and we all were standing in a circle asking for prayers. And I said, pray for my boyfriend. He's struggling with, his Christianity and so forth. And instead of praying for him, somebody decided that they were going to judge me. You shouldn't be with him anyway. That's not the time for that. And I think often that we as Christians feel like we have to judge each other instead of praying for each other or gathering around somebody who may be struggling.
That's a very good point. Actually, it's an excellent point. The Bible says in James 1:27 that pure religion is when we look after the widows and the orphans. We're to do that when they're in their distress. But we're supposed to also monitor our own behavior so that we will not be polluted by the world. So maybe some are saying, well, if I get too close to you, it might rub off on me, because the Bible does say bad companions corrupt good character, So we have this thing where many times when somebody is struggling, we might not want to be identified with them. Let me give you an example. I would go once a month for 20 years to minister to the homeless in downtown Los Angeles, which is where we are. And there's some people who don't feel called to that type of ministry. But if you don't feel called to it, maybe it's some other ministry God has called you to. But then there are other times when some people have to roll up their sleeves and go to work and get down in the trenches with folks. I know you all probably know we have a serious homeless problem here. And I had the opportunity when the Syrians walked across Europe and different countries took them in. I had the opportunity to go to a Syrian refugee camp in Berlin, Germany. Now, there were people who said, oh, we got problems right here. Yeah, but it was placed on my heart to go to those Syrians who had walked across Europe. And so by going and interviewing these folks and learning how they experienced things with ISIS killing their family members and having to flee and, go across rivers and all that kind of stuff, so they could go to safety. It did me a world of good to know that no matter how bad things are right here at home, that there needs to be somebody somewhere who's willing to go and minister to people who are hurting. And so that's what I do.
Amen.
Yeah, it is a calling, and it takes a certain kind of personality to be able to do that too. And it takes a lot of patience and love and empathy. And that
Like,
a lot of that is missing today.
Right.
The opposite of empathy, I don't know if it's a true opposite, but it's narcissism. And that's where we are today. So many people are self-absorbed.
mhm.
They really can't reach out. They're not in a position in their minds
Well, I
to
think
do
that's
it.
why I like what you said about, just having that partner, that person that you can confide into, because sometimes somebody might just need prayer, or they need to know that somebody's going to care about them without judging them. So, I mean, I love that partnership, or that mentor, so to speak, that Christian mentor.
Yeah, thanks. I know I used to, I told you about divorce. So I got my dissertation in divorce and started facilitating divorce support groups. And one night, I was holding them at home at the meetings. And one night, someone came in all scratched up. And I thought, this really isn't safe. And so I'm really thankful that the Lord placed it on my heart to say, open a house for women. So that's where the house comes from as well. He directed me to do that. And I know what I was doing because I've been ministering to men for 20 years on Skid Row.
Oh,
But I'm
So
still
that's an
doing
adventure
it,
of
even though
itself.
I still don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it.
I guess that's an adventure in and of itself.
It is indeed, because I realized that I thought I'd lived. I'm retired. I thought I'd lived and I'd be ready to go on and be with Jesus. And and then the Lord gave me a new assignment. And so I feel like I'm learning life all over again. And so I really haven't really lived the way I thought I had, because I thought I knew everything and then I found out I knew nothing.
well, God is not through with you yet. So that's what that means. So tell us a little bit about, you mentioned when you first started that you had been, I forgot where you said you went, but you were talking about doing ministry in another country.
Oh yeah. I've done ministry in Berlin. That was into a Syrian refugee camp. I started going to Kenya. I went to Kenya and Uganda. That's where the two places that I first went to minister to the folks in the slums. And then that's in Uganda, but they are rescued child brides at a school called I Can Fly in Machakos, Kenya. So that's where it's really touching, because I guess I'll say the last time I was there in 2018, just before COVID, I got a chance to minister to a young lady, 12 years old, who had been raped and had a baby. And then the baby was sick. So I got to hold the baby and pray for the baby. And then as soon as I got back, the baby died. And,
Oh,
and
Oh,
so it touched my heart to know that I got all these wonderful pictures of this young girl with the baby, and now the baby's gone and she was struggling
I'm
just to
sure.
survive. So, and I even am faced with that with some of the women that we have. They come to us, many of them hurting. And so my hope is that by the time they feel safe, they can rest in our home that I'm struggling to keep open. That's one of the reasons I'm selling my book, so I can raise money to help keep the doors open for this transitional house for
oh
homeless women.
wow. So, you know what, with that being said, we need to go ahead and put your link in the chat so people can purchase this book.
Well, I'd appreciate it, because I worked hard to keep the doors open. We've been open since 2018 by the
Wow.
grace of God,
Well,
without
sounds like you
funding.
should be able to get some funding from the government. Aren't they focusing on homelessness? Or they say that they are.
You got the latter part right.
Okay, they say that they are.
And maybe they are. They're just not helping us.
Yeah,
Okay.
a
So,
lot of times when they come up with solutions, it's really a bureaucracy and they really don't want to actually solve the problem. Maybe they do,
okay.
but if they did, the things that they're doing are not the things they should be doing.
Right.
Because when you're dealing with something like that, you need to be at the grassroots. The people on the ground are the people who need to be funded. But most of the time, people who get funded are consultants. It's like a drive by or fly over. They're not in the trenches with the people. And
That's
that's
it.
who needs to get funded.
That's interesting you would say that. We had a meeting this summer with the mayor, and I'm still waiting for the first dollar from that meeting. So we're working on it, but we are active and we're trying to make a difference. And it's not just our house, but it's others as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Sometimes you need a benefactor or sponsor, somebody who, you know,
Yeah.
a rich uncle, not
Yeah.
not a not a blood relative uncle, but you know what I'm
Very
saying. Somebody who can write a check and uh, identifies with the problem that you're addressing.
Yeah, that's exactly what we need. So the prayers are going up, and I'm anticipating a breakthrough, especially.
Amen.
I'm excited. We've had 3 young ladies to come out of our house, and they went to college. They started college there, and they graduated from college, and they're moving on with their lives. And that's exciting to me.
So you're
Well,
making an impact.
yeah, and
Huh?
you have a big smile on your face, so you're able to smile through whatever you're dealing with.
Yeah, because I trust him.
Okay. And that's what it takes a lot of times. That's what it really does take. So how many girls do you have in your house that you are?
Well, right now we have 8. We have the capacity for 20, but we have
Okay.
8.
And
So
how long did they stay there?
they can stay as long as need be. The longest time that anyone has been there is 2.5 years. Well, I got one that's approaching that now. So, but one has already stayed there 2.5 years, and I'm grateful. She graduated from college, went on, got a job, started her own clothing line of business, got a car, an apartment, and all that good stuff. So, yeah, I like success
Awesome.
stories. And then I have another one that reunited with her children. That's a good thing. And went off on her own so they could be together again. So it's those kinds of things that keep me smiling.
Yes, I
Mhm.
mean, and that's real impact, and you're able to see the changes. So that's a beautiful thing, and I'm happy for you, and I'm happy for the girls in the program.
And I'm thankful. I'm thankful to be able to meet you all and to share with you this evening. And as soon as I got the message about the person who had a family member change their schedule tonight, then that was cause for us to pray for that individual as well. So we pray that all will go well and they'll be here next time.
Absolutely.
Well, now I have one last question, and we have a few minutes left. What is your criteria for allowing girls to enter your home? And then how do you decide when they're ready to exit and transition out?
Okay, well, a lot of the decision is not up to me, but what we do is we do an intake interview. They must be 18. Most of ours come from, they were formerly foster children. And so we know that they have some hurdles that they need to overcome. But then some are self-pay where they just need a place to stay. Some have been evicted. I've had one that used to sleep on a bus stop bench, and her mother decided
Wow.
she didn't want her to know, but the mother asked me to take her in. They come from various walks of life. And so once we do the intake, we're saying we've got house rules, you've got chores to complete. And then if you're coming out of reentry, they need to work the program by continuing to go to their meetings or classes, take parenting classes. If you're separated from your children, anything that would help to improve their lives, that's what we want. So once they decide, they agree that this is something they're willing to abide by, then, and if they're drug-free, then we want them in. We'll welcome them.
So it's
And then
information.
as far as exiting, I'm sorry, this last little part,
Mhm.
most of the times either they complete a program or they decide that, now I think I can take care of my child. Now I've got a job now and I can manage my money. And so they basically decide when they're ready to go.
Awesome. And I was just going to ask, is information about your program on your website?
Yeah, it's at Minnie's, www.minnie, like Minnie Mouse,
Mhm.
and SSHELL.org. So it's minnieshell.org.
Oh,
You know,
This is-
your method sounds like, and this is something that I often say when discussing things related to public policy and government funding. The people who have the right solutions can't get the money. And the people with the wrong stuff, they're connected and they get money and they don't solve anything. And that's why these problems never get solved, because the people who actually have solutions don't get the money. I don't
Well,
know if somebody's getting paid on the back end, because it just seems too much of a pattern to not be intentional, if you know what I mean. But I
and
hope I hope this exposure for your program and your book gets you some support. Not
I pray that it will. It's a privilege to be able to share with you, and I thank you for what you just said. The coalition that we formed to go and meet with the mayor is a group of private housing or small housing providers, just like
okay.
ourselves. We just want to help the people. We don't just
Right,
want to house them. We want to help them
right,
so
right,
that they can stay off the streets and go
right.
back.
And become productive, tax-paying citizens and
Right,
Mhm.
go on and
absolutely.
go forth and be their best selves. Not
Right.
just, on the always on the bottom and, you know, uh relapsing and just hopeless, and you know it your program needs to get some exposure, and whatever we can do, we will do that, and funding, because I tell people support means money. That's it. Don't tell me you support me if you can't do something financially, anything, or something that can solve a problem that someone would have to pay for. And I don't mean me, Gwen, I mean just in persons in the situation. If you support somebody, then a lot of times writing a check is helpful. That's how you show it.
All of the time it's helpful.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know how the rent is. We lease our place. I don't know if you know how the rents are here in LA, but we're talking about thousands of dollars.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
they're
it's pretty
cheaper here
expensive
than
here
they
in the
are a lot of
DMV
places,
too.
but yeah, they're cheaper in Texas than they are a lot of places, but they're not cheap.
Mhm.
They're just cheaper than they are in the West, and the East and West and the Midwest, like Chicago area. We still, our cost of living is still less, about half, and sometimes a third, sometimes less than that, depending. So, but anyway, Miss Gloria, thank you so much for being a guest on Black Authors Matter TV. And as I said, we will do what we can to make people aware of your program and to gain you more support for all the awesome work you're doing in the
Yes,
community.
we did put the link to your website where the book is, as well as the website for your program. Both of those are in the chat.
Okay, well, thank you so much, and thank you for the privilege of being able to share. I trust him because this thing called childhood sexual abuse and then the clergy abuse and all of that, it needs the exposure. And that's why I'm giving it to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on the book. I know it's been out for a little more than a month. So I wish you much success with it. And keep doing what you're doing because you are impacting people way more than you might know.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Okay. And Merry Christmas
Merry Christmas.
and Happy New Year and happy
Okay.
holidays, all the holidays in there.
Thank you.
All
Bye-bye.
right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, well, we are, our show actually seems like it went fast this week, faster, for some reason, I don't know. But we are bringing on our final guest, and as you all who watch the show know, we have authors who are releasing books through Black Odyssey Media, which is the publishing house by the amazing author and filmmaker and all that extraordinaire, Entice. So one of her authors that has a book coming out, actually her book will be released next Tuesday, but since we don't have a show next Tuesday, we decided to have her on tonight so she can get pre-orders and early sales for her book that's coming out. And the book is called Every Black Girl Dances. And the author
like
is
the title.
Candice Johnson. Now, and then when you come on, I'm going to ask you a question about your title. But welcome to Black Authors Matter TV, Candice.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thank
And
you for being here.
I love your t-shirt.
Thank you. I think it's lovely myself.
It kind of matches your headband.
It does.
I have to get festive.
Now, Rhonda just told us about the book, the book series, Every Black Girl is Exhausted. That one.
Black girls must die exhausted.
Oh yeah, Black Girls Must Die. Okay, so that one's Black Girls Must, and yours is Every Black Girl. It just remind me of each other. And even do you have a arc of your book, an advanced reading copy, a galley?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you can show us the cover.
And here we go.
Okay, yeah, Every Black Girl Dances. The cover even looks similar to
Right, very
the series. It's very colorful, has flowers, and you are actually a dancer yourself.
I am celebrating 24 years of dance. It's been a minute.
Congratulations on that.
Thank
What
you.
kind of dancing do you do?
Okay, so I am a praise dancer, but I do different styles. And so I have been able to dance with some gospel legends like Fred Hammond, Kirk Franklin, Ty Tribbett, Jonathan McReynolds, Mama Shirley Caesar, the Clark sisters. It goes on and on. And I'm actually part of a 4-time Emmy award-winning program that I choreographed and danced for.
Wow. So we said earlier when we were talking about how we've been doing this show and how many people we've interviewed, and we said we're not new to this, we're true to this. It feels like you are not new to this, you are true to this when it comes to dancing.
Absolutely. I honestly didn't start even dancing professionally until I was almost 30 years old.
Really?
And
Wow.
yes, I mean, didn't even know I could dance. And then next year, I'll be celebrating my 25th dance anniversary and my 50th birthday, and I'm still going to keep dancing.
That's hilarious because you don't look anywhere near 50.
No, you don't.
Thank you.
But you know what? Dancing and just moving in general. But dancing is very good exercise.
It is.
It keeps your body moving, your muscles, you get to move and you get to it helps you stay in shape. And the line dances are a lot of fun. Those kinds of dancing, that's a lot of fun.
Yes. Dancing is so good for the soul. no matter what kind that you're doing. I mean, music is therapy for me, dance is therapy for me, and I love it so much.
Now,
Nice.
did you, well, you said you didn't start, so you weren't in ballet or anything like that as a kid, or the dancing that they have the dance troops in school, any kind of, any of the kind of group dancing. Did you ever do any of that growing up?
Growing up, I grew up with a book in my hand.
Well,
I've always
what would happen now? Because oh, you just woke up one day and said, "I want to dance," or were you thrust into a situation?
Okay, so that's a great question. First of all, many people don't know this, but back when Heavy D and the Boys was really popular, and I thought I could dance, I wanted to be the first girl in Heavy D and the Boys. I wanted to dance for Heavy D. But once the liturgical dance really started taking off, I was at a church at the time where the teenagers wanted to dance, but there was no one to work with them.
Mhm.
And so me not even knowing what to do, I said, "Well, I'll do it." The rest is history. And I used to have fun going to the club and dancing. And I said, God took me out of the club and he put me to dance in church, and I've never turned back 4 Emmys later.
I went to a Kirk Franklin concert once, and he said that, before he was saved, he used to love to dance. And he said after he was saved, he didn't stop dancing, he just found a new partner.
Same here. I just found a new partner and I'm not letting go. I always tell people dance is my conversation with God. The audience just happens to be there.
I love that. That's beautiful.
And David danced. So,
Yes,
some
he did.
people shun dancing, but no, dancing is great. As it's a great expression. Now, there are some dances that are not, I would say, they don't edify the
Yeah.
body of
I'm
Christ.
about to say,
I'll
yeah,
put it like that.
twerking is probably a little different.
Yeah, I hate that dancing turn that way, because I used to go to clubs. I used to love going to clubs, but because I like to dance and I like music and I still love music. But um when I was going to clubs, men asked you to dance and you could say yes or no, but it was very respectful. You didn't, they didn't touch you,
Right.
unless it was a slow dance or whatever. And then you could decide if you wanted to do it or not. But my daughter described to me what happens now at parties and clubs. And I'm like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
It's not the same anymore.
No, she said you really have to stand. You used to hold up a wall just because nobody asked you to dance. But my daughter said now you have to hold up a wall to keep somebody from coming up behind you, twerking on your rear end.
Yeah. They
And
do. You'll be dancing and they'll come sneaking up behind you.
yeah, I'm like, oh, I mean, I just don't get it. I don't know how it went that I don't know who invented twerking, but shame on them. I see people doing it. I just think it's too sexual. Some people do it in inappropriate times too. I mean, they do it. They had somebody on the red carpet twerking on the carpet. I don't know if y'all saw that. It was a real somebody who was at some kind of red carpet event was twerking against the red carpet while she had her gown on, or dress or outfit on. And some things I just don't get. I've determined there's some things I'm just not gonna get, and I really don't want to get them either.
Right.
I don't understand them. I don't want to understand them. I think some of these people they just starve for attention. It keeps going further and further and more bizarre, but it's all about getting likes and clicks and going virtual. But
Right.
that's not the kind of, you don't do any twerk praise dancing, do you?
Oh no, I actually teach them not to. Okay. I
I
train and
think that
teach
to be a
them.
joke. I knew you.
I teach them not to. I always say no, no, no. Some churches have called me in to do damage control.
Oh.
So I'm very much appreciative that they will call on me to help their dance ministries out so that the only attention will be on Jesus.
But I've gotta say I've noticed that you have danced for a number of gospel artists and R&B artists. And I noticed that one name that popped out was Jonathan McReynolds. He was just here in the DMV last weekend in our church play. And
Oh.
Oh, I
so
saw the pictures. That was your
yes.
church?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's my church. So I'm just watching him and I'm like, this young man comes on and he starts doing his little dance like that. And I looked up like, I know that voice. I was like, and I looked at the program, Jonathan McReynolds. But no,
yeah.
he was so funny in the play. And it's I think that doing what you do, doing what he does, I think it helps so many young people because a lot of young people don't want to go to church because they think that it's going to be very staunch and stiff and
Stuffy.
we can't have fun. And but then
Yeah.
when you see people like yourself, see people like Jonathan McReynolds and so many other people who are having fun and being Christians, I think it just sheds an entire new light on the Christian lifestyle.
Oh, it does. I so agree with you because I have a group actually. We don't it's a little less. I get asked a lot to dance solo, but I do have a group, Ordered Steps Productions. And with Ordered Steps, we've had everyone from 8 years old to over 60, and we all dance and we have fun and we teach them. I teach them, you can smile. We don't have to be angry with God. We can smile. Just because we're Christians doesn't mean we can't have fun. And so
Right.
we've
Right.
done everything from the upbeat churchy stuff to hip hop to ballet, you name it. We put the different styles in there. So it's multi-layered, but it's all for God.
So
Okay.
what
Now,
is your book? What made you write the book?
that's what I was
And
gonna
this is
ask her.
And this is the funny thing because most people think because I'm a dancer that it's about dancing, and the book is not about a dancer.
I thought it was about dancing too because the name of the book is All
It's
Black
Every
Girls
Black
Dance.
Girl Dances.
Yeah, so every black girl dances. So I was like, okay, she's a dancer, and she's a Christian dancer, and now she's written this book with dance in the title. Maybe the character is a dancer, so I'm guessing that's not the case.
It's not. The main character, JC Burke, is actually a filmmaker, and she is touted as the next Spike Lee. But she's like struggling to find her identity and be the first JC. And so she's learning how to dance through life on her own terms.
Oh,
Oh,
so
okay.
different type of dancing.
Well, and see, and it's a different type because as Black women and Black girls, we are forced to dance to other people's choreography in life. We can only be sad when the world tells us to. We can be angry when the world tells us to. We can only do certain business or this or that. And it gets so much on our shoulders. It's such a burden when all we want to do is dance on our own without people telling us what to do or who we are. And that's where every Black girl dances comes from.
Beautiful.
Well,
Because sometimes,
that is true. We can we have to fight the boxes, and I've done that
yeah,
my whole life. I will not be put in a box, in anybody
Mhm.
else's box, and it's not always easy, but the independence of it is beautiful.
exactly. In the book, JC is going on a journey because she's only 26 years old. And she has found success and fame very swiftly right out of film school. And she finds herself in the middle of making movies that people at first they were applauding her for. And this is movies where, I'll say urban movies.
Hmm.
And all of a sudden, the same audience is turning on her because they're saying that's not us. That's not our lifestyle. This isn't what we do.
We're seeing that in real life now.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's real life. And it's like, well, she's torn. Like, this is what's getting me these movie deals. This is what's putting people in the seats. But now I really want to tell a different story, but everyone's telling me what story I have to tell.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
think that happens to a lot of people in the entertainment industry where they want to do something different, but
Yes.
what they're doing is making money for them. And we see this, we've seen the same thing happen to Tyler Perry. You know, he got on the map with the Madea plays, and so everybody wanted to only see Madea, but then he's still getting criticized for playing this woman. But this is what drew you guys to me in the first place.
Exactly. And people were so shocked when I started writing the books because they're so used to putting me in that little box, this checkmark dancer, that they didn't realize God had given me all these other gifts.
Yes.
And they didn't know that behind the scenes, I was working with my husband on his plays. I've acted in his play before. I've done all these different things, and we push each other creatively. But people still wanted to see me as this dancer. Then it became, oh, you're writing this little book, until the books started taking off.
Oh, the little book.
The little book, sometimes you have a little friend problem.
You still writing that little book.
Little book, you have
that
little
is
radio
so
show.
demeaning. That's,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
I listen to the words people use, and the words can be used to belittle you or trying to define you or redefine you as something else, or confuse you. Some people will use words to try to confuse you, to make you think that what you know is true isn't true.
Yeah, it's called gaslighting.
Yeah,
Yes.
gaslighting.
That's the word, all caps.
Yes. With a hashtag. Okay. How did you get hooked up with Entice and Black Odyssey Media?
When I tell y'all, I sent her a message today because she had sent me some emails that were just so awesome. Yesterday was just one of those tough days, and then today I just woke up and I prayed, Lord, send me some good news. And so I had some emails from her sending me some good news. And I said, well, you're just my fairy godmother today, because she is just so awesome. And I had been a follower of hers for years, and just enjoyed seeing her dance, so to speak, in the industry, and just appreciated and admired what she does. And I actually went into to talk to her about turning one of my other books into a film.
Okay.
And then from there, it progressed into me ending up being published by Black Odyssey.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Now, do you have just the one book, or did you do a 2-book deal?
Okay, so it's going to be 2 books with Black Odyssey, and I'm really excited about that. I'm not sure if so I won't say what the next one is, because I'm not sure if I'm supposed to give details on that or not. I don't want to get in trouble.
Right.
But it was definitely a 2-book deal, and just so exciting because they have been, when I tell you, they have been kind, just very, I don't even know the word to describe how awesome this entire process has been working with them. And it's an amazing opportunity. And I've cried so many happy tears. I mean, it's just been a blessing. It really has.
That's great. And Tice is great people, and she's a
Yeah.
good person to be connected with, and she's very open and giving and friendly. So you feel like, I'm quite sure, just knowing the little I know of Entice, because we've connected a couple of times, that you probably feel like you're her only client, because that's the way she treats everybody, like they're her only client.
Absolutely. Very hands-on. And like you say, she makes you feel very special. And that's what I have truly appreciated about this, because going from indie author to traditional is a scary process. But she and the team, especially Cressida, they have made it a great process, enjoyable. And like, this is the best Christmas ever because my book is coming out.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Wait, now what's the exact date? The exact release date?
It's next Tuesday, and it's the
Yeah.
26th.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah, that's a great
Yeah.
Christmas present.
it really is. I'm like so excited. My husband's excited. He's already flying down the aisles of Walmart telling everybody that his wife wrote the book and it's going to be on the shelf.
Yes, to the supportive husband. Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. He's a playwright, and so I turned his plays into books, and he's turning my books into plays, and we work together. We're a really good team.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
okay. Now, what are his plays? What does he have a general theme for his plays, and where they perform?
Oh my goodness, let me tell you, he has one that's so juicy. And I'm loving writing the book right now, working on the book, but it's called Lord, What Happened to the Man I Married?
Mm,
That's a good one.
Okay.
that's the title. Come on.
That's the title, Lord, What Happened to the Man I Married? And it is a good play. He's going to be bringing it next year in 2024, and so I'll have more details about that as it comes forth. But anybody who knows me, they know Cedric. I call him Hershey, but don't tell him I told you. But but anybody who knows me knows him because he is like my biggest cheerleader slash publicist slash everything. That's my best friend.
Oh,
Now,
that's so sweet.
Duncanville is near Dallas.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. It's
Okay.
like you can throw a pebble.
Okay.
And a pebble.
That's where you're in Duncanville. Is it closer to Fort Worth or Dallas? Is it on that? Is
Definitely Dallas.
okay.
On this end of town, we don't always go to Fort Worth because it feels like we're going out of town.
Okay.
Fort
Yeah.
Worth is,
Yeah.
whew,
They say it in one breath, Dallas, Fort Worth, but they really are distinctive cities.
oh, they are. We are so different, even though they call it a DFW area.
Yeah.
But it just feels like you're driving forever. It feels like you're driving to the other side of
It
Texas just to
does.
Fort Worth.
I used to live in Fort Worth as a teen, and
Oh,
Dallas just seemed like a world away. We didn't go over there that much.
yeah. Yeah, it's the same. Just because something about that drive just seems like it takes forever.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
But
it
I
is
love, I
Texas,
love it.
everything in Texas is, I tell people Houston is so big. You can drive an hour and still be in Houston and not in traffic. You can
Ooh,
drive an hour on the freeway and still be in Houston. It'll be Houston proper. It may not be city limits, but it'll be a Houston address, because they did a lot of annexing, and we have a huge. The Houston metro is 5 million people, so
wow.
it's a lot of people here, but
That
everybody has to drive because it's just too far. So we have public transportation, but the only people who take it are people who just can't get any kind of car. It's better to have just a hoopty, any kind of vehicle than to have to depend on the bus. Or we don't have a subway because we're too much on the water table. We're too low. But we do have a train downtown where people catch the train to the medical center. But it's Houston is big. And it's grown a lot. It keeps growing because people keep moving here.
Oh, and I can imagine we were there in the beginning of November. I was dancing at a conference, at a
Okay.
marriage conference. It was a really awesome ferocious faith marriage conference. It was really, really awesome. And when we put the address in, I thought I was going to Houston, but it was actually Spring.
Okay. That's northwest. That's north. That's close to me, which is like 40 miles from downtown. Or maybe 50
Oh, gotcha. I
from
was I was
downtown
like, where
Houston.
are we going?
Yeah, it's you can be in Houston and never go downtown. Like it's very big. So, but now you talked about films that you were working on, and are you working with Entice? Because I know she's every time she posts, seems like she has a new movie on Tubi or coming out somewhere. What? So have you actually done a film yet, or are you in the process?
So we're in the process, hubby and I, of working on some things, and I can't wait to tell you what transpires from that. We did do a short film together, but that was me figuring it out. That was one of
Okay.
those faith and fear moves. Because I was afraid, my husband pushed me to have faith. So when I said I want to do it, he said, okay, you're going to do it right now. Because he knows me, and he knows if I didn't do it, if he didn't push me to do it, I was going to find a reason to back out. So the result of that was my very first book back in 2015 is Practice What You Praise. And so
Mm.
we did a short film based on that book. And it was a tough process, but hey, we worked it out. I loved it. And I said, I want more. So now we're getting more into that end of things.
That's
Okay.
I love the
Great.
fact that you two have a true partnership. You know, you're working together and encouraging each other, and then you're cultivating each other's projects. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And so I wish you two all the best in what you're doing.
Thank you so much. We just wouldn't have it any other way. It's just we don't have to compete when we have the gifts to collaborate.
Yes,
Right. And that's,
absolutely.
that's a real good partnership to have in a marriage. I know my husband and I work together for our whole marriage. He's retired now, but people used to ask me, how do you, because we would be at the office, we were together all day, every day, like till he retired 5 years ago or 6 years ago. So our whole marriage, and people would ask me, how can you stand it? How can you do it? And what I tell people is, one, you have to like the person that you're married to, not love them too, but you have to actually like them.
Yes,
Right.
Because people you
absolutely.
like, you want to spend time and be around, and you have something in common, and you're able to talk. You have your conversations can be, my husband and I just talk for hours, solving the world's problems. That's what we spend a lot of time doing, that kind of conversation. You know, um,
So
huh?
yes, we do the same thing.
Okay,
He
yeah, you
does
have
the
to do
same
that, and
thing.
then our skill set complemented each other, so we were never competing. You see, that's what it sounds like you all are doing. My husband was in tech, so, and I'm more in marketing and administration. So we would be in the same office as far as the building, but we wouldn't be in the same room, and we wouldn't even really get together unless there was a need. So
Right.
we were both working on the things that we worked on, but we were doing it collaboratively for the business.
That's exactly what we do. We both made a lot of sacrifices, and I'm just grateful for him as a husband and friend and partner, because corporate America quit me in 2015, which is how my first book, was published. They just eliminated my position one day
Mm.
shy of my 15th anniversary at that
Wow.
company.
Mm.
And oh, it was just left me an anniversary card and everything. I was like,
Wow.
really, guys, really? My anniversary's the next day. And they said, we've enjoyed your work, but we're gonna outsource everything, and your actual position no longer exists. And here's your severance package, and we wish you well. And so from then on, husband said, you've kind of used that job as a reason not to get that book, or that you've been toying with for the last 10 years, off the ground. So it's time. So I haven't worked a corporate job since 2015, because he's just been a support, and he really believed in my writing, and he just knew that it was going to come to this moment where we have Every Black Girl Dances.
Okay, well, show us the cover again, because we're at the end of our
Yeah,
time.
and that was a great way to end it.
It was. Every Black Girl Dances. It comes out next Tuesday, and it's under the umbrella of Black Odyssey Media. And author Candice Johnson is gonna set the world on fire with her book and her dancing and her plays, and with her husband and
And her
things, and whatever
movies
she's
and
gonna be
everything
doing.
else she has
Whatever
going
she's gonna
on.
be doing.
Thank y'all. I received that.
Okay. Okay, well, have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and Happy Kwanzaa, and all the happy holidays. And we'll be seeing you soon. And congratulations on your book release.
Thank y'all so much for having me, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we'll see you in the new year.
Yes, yes. Have a great night.
Y'all
God
too.
bless.
Okay, well, this is our last show for 2023. And we want to wish everybody in the audience a Merry Christmas, a Happy Kwanzaa, a Happy New Year, and any other holidays that you celebrate. We hope those are happy as well. Uh, do you have anything to say before we close out, Rhonda?
No, it's been a wonderful, wonderful year. It's been a hard year, but we made it through. And the seeds that you planted this year are going to bloom in 2024. Just stay faithful and just keep reaching for the stars and stay in prayer. And I'm cheering you all on. So, Gwen, Merry Christmas to you. Just in case I don't get to talk to you again, Merry Christmas to you and Happy New Year. And I'm going to see you on the other side in 2024.
Same here. We're going to be moving onward and upward and doing some amazing things next year. Well, good night, everybody. I'm Gwen Richardson signing off.
And I'm Dr. Rhonda Lawson. Have a wonderful evening and a great week.
Thank you for tuning in, and join us next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern for another edition of Black Authors Matter TV.